The following podcast is an RMG Media production.
Okay, get ready to unleash your potential, ignite your business, and connect with trailblazers. The Renaissance Women's Summit is coming back on February 24th in Nashville, Tennessee. Our summit is so much more than just a gathering of successful women. It is a powerful movement that aims to uplift and empower all women entrepreneurs. Our highly anticipated third annual conference is a value-packed one-day event featuring unparalleled networking opportunities, enlightening panels, interactive workshops, and inspiring keynotes led by top-notch entrepreneurs and female leaders. You'll acquire the indispensable knowledge and insights needed to become a true Renaissance woman in the business world. Tickets go on sale on August 1st. You can get them at www.therenaissancewomensummit.com. We'll see you there. Welcome to the Renaissance Podcast, a podcast for Renaissance women
and men
who want to create a modern-day Renaissance in their life and business.
We interview some of the most successful entrepreneurs and share their unique stories.
Are you ready to create your Renaissance? Walker and I want to do an episode on ways to feel motivated when you feel unmotivated.
Mm-hmm.
So how to kind of tap into motivation when we
Getting
don't
out of a funk.
Yeah. And today we don't feel very motivated, to
Yeah.
be perfectly honest with you guys.
Yeah, it's a weird week in Nashville.
There's a lot of rain.
Yeah, if you on Monday when you're listening to this, you'll know last week our current week is very odd. There's like flood warnings and weird weather, and it's like Sydney says it's the dog days of summer is like the term for the time period we're in currently.
Till August 10th, the month of like July, and then until August 10th is like actually the dog days of summer because something to do with farmers in the 1800s. I read something. I just kind of saw the cliff notes, didn't fully understand, but I was like, okay, that's all I need to know is that we're in the thick of summer. It's hot. And now it's just really rainy.
Yeah, so it's just muggy and gross.
I'm ready for fall. I'm done. I'm over it. I've been to the beach. I'm ready for pumpkin spice and candles. That's it. I'm done.
Yeah, I woke up and just wanted to watch Harry Potter all day. It was very much Harry Potter vibes. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you know that anytime it rains, you just automatically want to.
Is that like a universal Harry Potter fan thing? Like,
I think so. I think it's like the vibes. You just want to pop in, Chamber of Secrets and just hang out and just
have a little Azkaban day.
Azkaban. I want to lock my ass in Azkaban and just watch movies all day long. That's all I want to do. So.
Hedwig and hang.
His Hedwig and hang.
I'm such a nerd. It's like I just want to make all the Harry Potter like puns right now. You guys, I'm so out of it, but we're here. We're doing a podcast.
It's kind of fitting. Like how we're going to use these. We got six ways to feel more motivated, inspired, get back on track, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to try and implement these things today to get back into it. And
hopefully we'll take our own advice. No, but these are 6 things that I do. I know Walker does as well. I'm laughing just because Walker and I are just siblings and sometimes we're just together. We don't even have to say anything. It's just funny because Walker's really funny. But anyway, okay. So focusing on 6 ways to get you feeling motivated on those weeks and those times and those moments when you're like, I don't want to do anything, but I know that I have to.
Mm-hmm.
So here's how to get into that. So the first thing that I think is so important is reconnecting with your why. So why did you start out on this path? If you are an entrepreneur, why did you start out on this entrepreneurial journey? Why did you go into the career path that you're going into?
Mm-hmm.
What about it feels like it's your purpose? And let's lean into that. Let's look at that right now. Like, what about your job, Walker, motivate or it is your why?
I definitely just like creativity. So I just have to remember, or like helping businesses. That's a big part of it. And anytime I start to stray away from that, I definitely it kind of puts me into a funk. It's like, what am I doing? Why am I doing what I'm doing? It's like, oh yeah, you're here to help businesses. So then it's like, oh, okay, well, let's harness your creativity to help that. So that's why. That's my why, 100%. All I want to do is help businesses grow. And, if we're not doing that, then what are we doing? Or that's how I view myself. So yeah, that's my why. And I think with that, it is super easy when you get caught up in the weeds of everything and you're in the day to day and you're grinding it out. It's hard, or maybe you haven't even started the side hustle yet, or your business yet, and you're still working at your main job and you're really struggling, or you have your side hustle and it's taken longer than you thought to pick up. You got to remind yourself why you got to put in those hours. Why you're working so hard now, what that ends up becoming in the future. You really have to think about that. If your main thing is freedom, it's like, okay, I know that I want to be able to have the choice to work when I want, where I want, whatever. Keep reminding yourself that's what you're working towards and just use that. I don't know if that would be like my number one way to get motivated again, because it can be super discouraging. Like when you start to look at all the other things, I guess our 6 things, they all kind of have to work together.
They do.
Because you can find so many ways to get discouraged.
Yeah, that's true. And so I think we'll have all 6 ways listed in the show notes so you guys can sort of have them as your go-tos. Definitely they all work very well together, but you can piece and pull if you just need sort of a quick alignment on how, okay, I need a little, like, almost like a shot of caffeine. Just pull one of these to kind of get you going, especially if you have something really daunting in front of you that you need to tackle. And we're going to get into kind of how to go about motivating yourself to get the big things done. I think kind of wrapping up the why conversation, I think for me right now, the biggest thing I'm focusing on is our conferences, which if you've ever planned an event, you know how much goes into putting on events, and then a day-long conference is really a huge feat, and there's a lot to do, and there's a lot of moving parts, and I'm stressed. I'm planning Charleston and I'm planning Nashville at the exact same time, and it's very stressful. And so what I do to try to continue on my path is I keep visualizing myself the day of our Nashville event, our 3rd annual one, the day of our Charleston conference, and how happy I'm going to be and how I'm going to feel when that day comes to fruition. And when I look around and go, oh my gosh,
you did it.
There were so many moments I wanted to give up and I didn't, and look at this magical day and look how happy these women are, and look at the connections that they're making, and look at them writing in all these like pages in their notebooks because they're taking such intense notes because they're just so much of the day is impacting them. So that's my why, is I want to make a big impact on women.
Mm-hmm.
And so what is your why? And if you don't know your why,
then you're set up for failure almost.
That's a whole other podcast, but I would recommend reading Start With Why by Simon Sinek. That's a really good book to help you identify
life.
If you're not sure what your why is. And I would just recommend, to be motivated, there has to be more motivating things than money. We've said that a lot on this podcast.
Yeah.
Money can't be it all. That's only going to get you so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing with money is it unlocks, freedom, but also a lot of people don't have money and they do nothing already and they're not happy. And then a lot of people are happy because they have passions and hobbies, whatever. Like, money isn't going to solve that problem. I've learned that. It's like, it's just not. If anything, it's going to create a lot of problems. But, having something to really care about has filled so many more voids in my life than I've ever realized that were even there. Like, I've filled voids just through like creativity and like being fulfilled through like projects that I've been working on, and then, personal life and all that stuff. And I didn't, like, there were parts of I was like, I didn't even realize that I was missing in this area of my life. You know, prior to what I'm doing now, I wasn't a creative person at all. At all. I was just a kid doing whatever. I didn't know that was even a thing.
You had to tap into it.
And now it's like I get so many like thoughts and ideas creatively, and if I execute on them, it fulfills me in such like wonderful ways where I'm like, it just is like constant gratification. I love it. You know, I can't live without it now. I can't live without filming and like learning and growing because it's so much fun to me.
I think doing the visualization practice of when you're doing something really hard, visualize what that end result is going to be. So if that's a creative project that you're working on and it's so hard, like sometimes I'll just watch Walker video editing and I want to kill myself because it looks so like just detailed, and there's just a lot happening, and there's so many clips, and there's so much technically from a technological standpoint that's very overwhelming to me. But I'm sure when you're in it, that can be that way. But then when you're, or if you have a bunch of photos you have to edit and you have them all in front of you in Lightroom and you're just like, oh my gosh, it's so daunting. But I think just having a visualization practice as a business owner, just visualize yourself once that business opens. So if you're just waiting to start the business, or when, you have that event and everyone's there, having those things where you visualize yourself winning. Mm-hmm. You visualize yourself in that end result of where you want to be when you start the project, I think it's sort of like when you work out.
Right.
And you're like, oh, I don't want to work out. This is awful. But then after you're done, you never regret it. It's almost like visualize yourself at the end of that workout.
Yeah.
How are you going to feel? You're going to feel great.
Like
you
hard
never regret
things
it.
Suck, but they are the most rewarding, like in a couple episodes ago, we talked about how AI helps us with analysis paralysis of like just starting something. And it's that, I mean, there's so, like being uncomfortable, like finding comfort in discomfort is such a real thing. If you got to just do things. It's like hard things, especially like a big edit. Like I don't really like to edit a lot of long form video. And apply this to, just think of what I'm talking about as like something monumental in your life that you don't really want to start. Long form video being like anything over 4 minutes in length, like a documentary style, whatever interview. I hate editing that. It's very challenging. There's a lot of long clips. They're annoying to sift through. A lot of people ums and ahs and likes and all that. You got to cut all that out. There's so much audio tweaking, visualization tweaking. It's a lot. It's like kind of a painstaking, not creative, rewarding thing to do. So they're very daunting to go into, but you got to get the project done. So just do it, make it fun, figure out how to make it creatively rewarding, and just know that no matter what it is it's practice for something else. So like, even though, in this example, like that editing, and we're tangenting, going on a tangent like crazy, but just know that like that repetition is practice towards something else. So let's say you're working with a team member issue or whatever, and it's something you don't really want to deal with. Well, just know that if you deal with it this one time, it's going to make the next time a whole lot easier. Just like going to the gym the first time really sucks, but it starts to get easier and easier because
you're not up at 5 a.m.
You're not
awful,
sore. Yeah, it's the same thing. So just getting that repetition.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with motivation.
It is.
It kind of is.
It's all relative. So, okay, the second one is set small, inspiring goals. So I'm a big fan of focusing on micro when it comes to motivation over macro. Sometimes, like, thinking too much about the huge task at hand, and, it can be really overwhelming when you think about, doing a week of content or a month of content or reviewing someone's content calendar. Of course, this can apply to whatever you're doing in your business, putting together a business proposal, putting together a deck for an investor, these bigger business tasks that we have to do that are really overwhelming. Break it into smaller steps. So make it manageable. As you accomplish each one, you will feel that progress. You'll feel that motivation. So if it is, let's talk about social media content, because a lot of our listeners do their own content, or maybe they're working with somebody, just knock out, you said this the other day to a team member, you should be able to knock out 3 to 5 posts in 30 minutes. If you've got the content, if you've already shot it, if you already have everything, try to just break it out into time.
Yeah, just start.
Time batch. I think for us, it's all about efficiency. It's all about using our time wisely. If you need to put airplane mode on your email and on your phone so that you're not getting distracted, I know it's easier said than done, but done is often better than having it 100% perfect.
Right.
You can always set time later to go back and review whatever it is.
I will say you will be more inspired to revise once you've put it together. Once you can actually see the 5 pieces of content laid out in a content calendar, you'll actually be able to be like, here's a post idea. Oh, okay, instead of this, I'll change that. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with me with like video editing. Like there are so many times where I'll spend 5 or 6 hours even putting together an edit that I scrap completely because I get to the end of it and I'm like, here's the direction I'm taking this. And then I'll only have to edit that, hero video, the final edit once, because I'm like, I already got the vision. Like I'll do a rough edit that's very rough. And I'm like, oh, this is not, but I did it. I've got an idea and I gained 15 different ideas along the way that allowed me to actually complete the videos. It's the same thing with everything. Like as long as you start it, you'll have it there. It's a rough draft. You can go back and you'll be inspired to finish it. You can revise it. You can take a little snippet of what you've written out in that copy and change it. Same thing with, the video or the reel. And if we're talking about content and just, for the people that do it themselves, don't ever think that your first round is good. Change it. Like always change it. It can always be better no matter what.
Fine tune.
Fine tune. Like throw it away, do it again, and like come back to it because it can always be better, 100%. But that's just another
kind of a rant about that.
Rant about another thing.
I think you have to do what works for you also. I think there's a lot of tips out there. I definitely think doing the hardest thing first makes a lot of sense in certain scenarios. For me, if I have a huge task list, obviously you want to get down the most important thing first, like whatever is most important. Sometimes as a business owner, I will say this is a little bit of a rant. It is really hard to determine what's more important.
That's true.
And what isn't. Because if you have team things, well, that's super important. But then if you have client things, well, that's super important.
Right.
So how do you determine, what is more important? I think for me, as CEO, we're very money minded. So I do tend to sometimes be like, what's bringing in money faster? But if I know I have a team member struggling, then that often will take precedence because I want to make sure that person is covered and we've kind of cleared that situation. But I also think in my current role, if I have a proposal or a quote or something to do, I'm knocking that out because I know that that's a really important thing and I want to get the ball rolling.
It is kind of a do what works for you. Because because people always say, do the hardest thing first, knock that out. But also, I guess it just depends on it does. It kind of just depends on what it is and what needs to be done. It's an interesting thing of like defining what's important. That's like a question I don't ever ask myself enough of like, how, like they're all things that I'm doing are equally important. Like one doesn't outweigh the other.
Yeah.
So what sacrifice do you have to make?
But that's why we love using Asana within our company. So if you need some sort of like task management system for your business, that's a really good platform because you're able to actually toggle what's high priority versus lower priority for things. So if you work with freelancers, contractors, if you have, a full-time team, whatever, assistant, use that. Dump a bunch of, I think a lot of business owners, we don't turn it off at night, which we're going to talk about. And at night, sometimes I just dump things into Asana on my own, into my teams. And, I put put it based on what the priority is. And that's really important. So all in all, small, inspiring goals. So clear, specific, challenging goals that excite you, break them down into smaller milestones, creating a sense of achievement along the way. I think that really is a big thing. I do think about like housework, like with laundry. I'm the kind of person that waits 2 weeks sometimes to do laundry. It's not
I
good.
have a pile of clothes on the bed.
And how overwhelming is that?
It's not that it's overwhelming. It's
overwhelming.
that it's annoying.
Well, it's both.
But maybe that's why I don't. I just avoid it.
So you avoid it because it overwhelms you.
Yeah.
So what you do is you break it into small tasks.
And also, if you do it, it's not that hard to put away clothes.
This is where you have to like habit stack. So if you have a pile of laundry and it's a Sunday and you're like, okay, I'm going to need all of those clothes. This is a mess. This is like gone on for too long. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put on my favorite podcast or show or movie or Harry Potter or whatever. And I'm going to fold this laundry and I'm going to make it less of
fun.
a thing. Make it fun. Habit stack.
I saw a meme the other day that I think was like the epitome of adulthood. And I don't even have kids yet, but it was like being a parent or like being an adult is celebrating when the load of laundry is 8 towels and not 64 pieces of tiny clothing or whatever. I was like, that's so true. Like, I don't even have kids, but even just my own clothing, I hate.
Yeah.
So if it's like towels, I'm like, I'll fold towels all day long. They're so easy.
So easy. You just do. And it's like, it's folding Sawyer's little shirts. It's
And he's got little socks.
Socks.
Those stupid little
small.
socks
They're
are tiny.
Tiny. And you're just like, what? And then everything gets lost too. Baby socks. They just go, there's like some sort of abyss that exists somewhere where all baby socks go to die.
There's just a pile of them.
They're just a pile of baby socks.
An island of baby
If you're a
socks in the
parent,
middle of the ocean.
you have babies, you know that is a thing.
Yeah.
So Sawyer
even
has
fully grown adult socks get lost.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine those tiny little buggers.
Okay. So number 3, as we just rant about baby socks, break tasks. Oh, nope. We already read that one. Be careful what you consume and who you surround yourself with. This one, man.
That's big.
This is huge. You have got to do 2 things. If you are someone who struggles to be motivated, you've got to change up who you follow, what you see. The mute button on Instagram is amazing. I love it. So you guys, seriously, the best thing I ever did for myself was get rid of potentially toxic. They don't all have to be toxic. They're just people that aren't serving you. You got to weed them out. You've got to make your circle. You have to be very protective of your circle and who you surround yourself with. If there are people in your life who aren't very motivated people, who are not motivating, they're unmotivated, they're whatever, they don't have a similar maybe motivation that you do. Maybe they're whatever. You have to be so protective. If you truly want this, if you don't want this for yourself, then you're going to continue on with those relationships. But I think the best 2 things you can do for yourself are look at the people that are around you. Do those people motivate and inspire you to be better and to do better? And then also, what are you consuming all day? Yeah,
that's like one of the biggest things for me has been changing my algorithm. I mean, because like regardless of whatever, like we all scroll. We all scroll on social. We're on social all the time, no matter what, no matter who you are. If you're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Twitter, whatever, you're scrolling. And if all you're doing is consuming negativity or like non-serving content, you're really limiting yourself. There was a phrase I saw the other day, and it's going to escape me, but it was like, maybe it was like micro-learning or something weird like that. Now, did I look into what that actually meant? No, I didn't. But in my mind, what I defined it as in my mind is what I think that I do on a daily basis to justify my endless scrolling, where I'm calling now. I'm micro-learning or whatever it is, where I follow in like my timeline, my Reels algorithm is like everything is like it's like videographers and like tips and tricks to like videography and like really cool creative videos and things like that. So I've now managed to justify my slacking off as I'm learning.
No, listen, you're going to get in so much trouble from Bailey if you half listen to something and you just call it, I'm just
Micro learning. I'm not fully listening. I'm micro learning, Bailey.
It's more of a micro learn.
It's more of a micro.
If you literally don't. Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what you consume makes up a lot of who you are and what you think about yourself. I really believe that. I think especially if you are vulnerable to comparing yourself to others, to comparing what you have to what others have, comparing your success to their success.
Comparison's terrible.
Comparison is the thief of all joy. That's 100% true.
It's true.
And so I think just being really careful of what you consume is very crucial to how you think about yourself and your own internal happiness.
Yeah, it's like social media can be it can really lead to the unmotivation and just like imposter syndrome and just denial and like all of these terrible things. It can really lead to that.
Yeah.
And you have no idea what these other people are really living like what you see. Like it's everyone knows like, oh, it's just a highlight reel. And it's still easy to get discouraged.
Still easy.
So like just avoid it if you can. Like don't think about like I see so many people that are like so incredibly talented with video. I keep tying it back to that, but that's because it's relevant to me. So I'm going to keep talking about it. And I feel like you can just apply it to your own life. But I see so many incredibly talented videographers and just like people that are like just really, really great with the camera, then editing, and they can just do so many incredible things. And that can be discouraging in and of itself. But what I've learned is to be like, well, screw that. I'm not going to get discouraged. I'm going to just like really try and do this. And then I find that like, you know, those videos that I see where it's like, well, why can't I do that? I find that that's not even a person that I'm interested in being inspired by because I don't actually remember their username or whatever. Like I don't care to go back to their content. I have like 5 people that really, really, really inspire me with a camera. And I consistently go back to their content because they're like true inspirations to me. These other people that I see on social media, I've recognized like, okay, like there are people that are really good with a camera and they're good at editing, whatever. Like that's a good video. That's a good video. I've learned to just kind of appreciate the content they're creating, but not really let it affect me. And, you know, I know who I'm inspired by and who I want to learn from and like whose style I want to adapt from and things of that nature versus just like content on social. So I think like that ties back to our first point of like find your why, figure out what it is that you're trying to do and who you're trying to be and why you are who you are versus just like seeing these other things. And then there's like the more, you know, like day-to-day things where it's like, well, that person has money and that person's traveling all the time. Like, you don't know. They could be in massive amounts of debt. They could have, you know, gotten inheritance, have a trust. You don't know. Like, then it's just unrealistic. So there's no point in any sense of the word to follow these people and compare yourself to them. Just live your own life and find your why. If your why is to be able to travel to, you know, wherever, Italy, then figure out how the hell you can do that and not sit there every day and compare yourself to whoever.
And got to Italy.
They got to Italy. Just go there. Just
go there.
Figure it out and go there and create your own reels. And then, hey, guess what? You're going to post that reel and some other person is going to compare themselves to you. And, you know, it's going to be an endless cycle. So,
yeah, it's very toxic. It's very detrimental to your mental well-being. And I just am a big person that you've got to find your lane. You got to stay in it. But you need to, if you're going to consume content, I think do consume content that makes you feel good. So it's got to be content that makes you laugh, that, inspires you in some way. Maybe it's travel, maybe it's fashion. But if anything's a little triggering and makes you, if you're come across something and you're like, ooh, I'm starting to get that jealousy feeling or that comparison feeling, then it's time to mute, and then you won't see that content anymore, or unfollow, and just do you, sis, do you. And that is just a huge one for me.
Yeah.
So
It's very hard to cut people out of your life, but do it. Like
it's worth
physical
it.
people, it is worth it.
It's very worth it. And that's a whole other podcast.
It is,
but I do believe in, if there are people that are not serving you and that don't make you feel good, you got to get anything in your life out that doesn't make you feel good. It's just true. And that might mean that you have a way smaller circle and that you don't feel like you have this abundance of friends. But you know what? I would rather have 1 to 2 friends that I know 100% have my back versus people that make me feel inferior and bad about myself.
There are so many people in this world that are fake and don't really care if you're moving forward or not. And, that's not worth it. Like, just don't engage with it.
Yeah.
It's so much easier said than done. And like, whatever. I'm 25. So what do I know about cutting people out? A little bit of imposter syndrome, but hey, guess what? I've cut out quite a few toxic folk from my life, and it's been a wonderful thing.
That's good. I think that's really good. And that's, why you are where you are. You're very happy and content, and, that you want to be careful who you surround yourself with and what you consume.
Do I sound happy?
We'll unpack that later. Yes, you do. Okay, so the next one, we got 2 more. Environment is everything. So I'm not talking so much about like the people and what you're consuming, but like your physical environment when there's no one around and you're in your workspace. I believe that inspiring workspaces create inspiring work. And I'm all about that. If you've been to our office or seen it on social media, it's very pink. It's very like, we have flamingo wallpaper in our kitchen. I have a huge print of Dolly Parton in my office. Walker has Johnny Cash, and
it's a lot of things that are close to me and my personality. Things I like to see.
Make him happy. And so I just think that it's really important to design a space that energizes you on the days when you feel the least bit energized. Like, I want to come into my office when have a huge task list and I just left a crying baby or whatever, and it's stressful. And I want to come in my office and I have a record player that's pink that plays Diana Krall, who's like one of my favorite jazz artists. And I want to listen to jazz music because I'm weird and I like to listen to elevator jazz music as my motivation moment time. And there's nothing that makes me happier than when I'm in my cozy office. I have my dogs at my feet. I have a cup of warm coffee with a splash of almond milk, and I've got my Dolly Parton vibes and my Diana Krall, and I'm just vibing.
Yeah. And this literally, all of this ties back to your why, as who you are. You built this environment because this environment suits your why. Do it. I mean, that was one of the biggest issues with COVID, and we're living in this post-COVID world, and it's annoying to bring up now, but we very much are. A lot of people work remote, and when COVID happened, a lot of people weren't used to working remote, and so it became this like very depressing, weird era. So they lived, they were in their apartments and their homes, and they were like, I'm tired of looking at the same 4 walls. I miss being, in an office with people, around people, whatever. So figure out your why, and that goes beyond just why am I trying to be an entrepreneur or whatever. Like, figure out why the hell you want to be alive. What do you want to do? What is it? Put yourself in an environment that makes you happy, and surround yourself with those people that make you happy and around people that make you happy. And if you're not in that situation and you want that to be your situation, that's your why. Figure it out and get there. And that's the thing with Sydney. She loves, her jazz music and the pink and the this and the that, all those different things, a splash of almond milk, and that's all fine and dandy, good for her. And, I like in my space,
physical space,
and in my office, one of the biggest things for me is my external monitors. I have a massive massive monitor. It's like the size of a TV, but it makes my life so much easier. And it really, something about it, when the screen turns on, it allows me to just laser in and focus. And I like that. I mean, I couldn't work in like just a bare bones space. So like, I like that I have things that are comfortable to me. I have pictures of Bailey, and that's very nice. And then I have, like cool wall art and things of that nature that just like, it's a nice space. I walked in this morning and I was like, I'm not going to turn on the overhead fluorescent. I'm going to run a little vibe. You had my salt lamp turned on. I was just feeling good. Had 6 cups of coffee, and then the fluorescent lights came on and I was like, I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Whatever you like, whatever lights you up. So maybe that's a cozy candle in your workspace. Maybe that's a cup of tea. Maybe that's, your favorite Taylor Swift album, whatever makes you feel good to be working. I think you have to set the stage for your work day, and you have to set yourself up for success in that way. And if your job is more of a desk job, I guess we're speaking more to our desk job people, but wherever you're working, whatever that looks like, make it comfortable. I think invest in things that, if that's a standing desk, I said earlier, I was like, I really wish we had one of those damn treadmill walking desks, because
those things are pretty neat.
I don't normally care about that, but today it was raining. It feels like it's been raining for 13 days, and I just wanted to move my body, but I also wanted to be working at the same time. So I do like that. Maybe we'll invest in one of those.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I could see people in the office using it. If we had one and we just kind of like all rotated.
Company treadmill just in here.
Company just like, guys, here's a spreadsheet, fill out your times, because we all have like to take turns. Like,
if you get really frustrated, you just hear someone running.
like after a call or something.
Yeah. Sprint away the anger.
But I think whatever helps you kind of eliminate distractions and gets you in work mode and gets you in inspiration mode, do that. Design that. Everywhere we've worked, when we worked in my basement, it was the same vibe that it is here. Yeah. It was pink. It
comfortable.
Was Frank Sinatra. It was comfortable. It was low lighting. It was, everyone has lamps in their office now. But anyway, I've always been a big person on
make
comfort.
Your space yours. Make it comfortable. Make it somewhere that you actually want to be.
Yeah.
But take breaks and recharge is our last. That's number 6.
This is the most important one.
This is the most important one. And this is, that's the key to it. Take breaks and recharge. Like as soon as we stop recording, I'm literally leaving.
Yeah. You got to recharge.
Yeah.
The most important thing you can do for yourself in any position, if you're a stay-at-home mom, if you are a CEO, if you're a business owner, if you're,
work at a job,
climbing, if you're just an account manager, whatever your role is, wherever you are, you have to take time for yourself. You have to take time completely off, because I kind of go back to the workout analogy, but I'm a big workout girl. I don't work out very intensely, but I try to move my body every single day. And on the days I take off, I come back the day after an off day like I'm a athlete, like I'm some sort of Olympic something, because I just go so hard because I took that time off. I'm so excited to get back to the gym. It's weird. And I feel like it's similar with work. On the weekends, I really try, Walker's going to roll his eyes. I really try to take time off. I think I never fully am off, but I'm a different working person on the weekends than I am on the weekdays. So I'm way different working person on a Monday than I am on a Sunday. Sunday, I'm kind of like, oh, I'm going to do the podcast. Oh, that's so easy to write the podcast description. Oh, I'm going to, review some emails. That's so easy. Mondays, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like doing all my hard tasks, whatever. But I come in on Mondays. Ashley and I talk about this all the time. Mondays, I love Mondays.
Yeah, I like a Monday.
I love Mondays because I know I'm in with my why.
Yeah.
I'm connected on who I am and what I'm doing. I hit all of these things.
Mondays are so short.
We always talk in the office about how Mondays are they fly, but then Tuesdays, nobody here likes a Tuesday.
No, Tuesdays are terrible.
Everyone
They're so
hates
stupid. Tuesdays are the dumbest day ever. They're just in the
so
middle
pointless.
of nothing. It's pointless. It's like a
The
void.
next day's just a Wednesday.
Yeah,
It's
Wednesdays. Wednesday's a little bit more fun,
you're
though.
like, I'm halfway.
Halfway there.
You know, you can do a wine Wednesday. You can just throw that in, and then it feels right to have a glass of wine.
Thursdays are Friday because we work from home on Fridays.
Thursdays are our Fridays at Renaissance because we work from home on Fridays. But
yeah,
everything you just said. But anyway, so how do you, Walker? Because you've gotten over the years, gotten really good about taking time. So how do you?
I have really learned how to recharge. Well, I think a big part of it, if you're a listener of the show, you understand I bring it up almost every episode, how burnt out I got in the year of 2021. Like it was.
The old 21 burnout.
The 21 burnout was like the year of it. Like I felt like a part of me died and another part was reborn in 2022. Well, really, it was like halfway through 2022. I remember the timeline. It's kind of like I had like a weird COVID year. I don't know. But anyway, I went through a massive year of burnout and I just hated everything and doing anything creative. I was very much miserable with it. Like, I don't think people really understand, but like, it was bad. I was miserable. I didn't want to touch a camera. I didn't want to do anything creative. I had no desire to do anything. Like, it seriously was a very bad part of my life. And, then I stopped working with that client and I literally took like a year off because we had hired another videographer and photographer. And so then I literally didn't have to touch a camera at all. I was like forced myself almost not to. And so then I just didn't. I like didn't focus on anything creative for almost a year. It was kind of a wild, maybe it wasn't that long. I don't know. Timeline's a little bit blurry in my brain. But I just didn't care about, like, I just like repelled it. I didn't do any personal work, like nothing. Like I didn't do anything. I didn't take a camera with me anywhere. I didn't care about it. I didn't pay. Like one of my favorite things to recharge is to watch videos that inspire me, like creators, whatever. But I didn't do that. Like nothing. Nada. Zilch. Pulling out words. And then I got to a point where that person was no longer on our team and it forced me back into a creative space. And I was like almost scarred and I was afraid. And then I realized that these other people that we were working with weren't that person. And I had freedom to be creative and do different things and try new things. And I feel like even though I didn't do a lot of learning during that period of burnout, I still did learn. And so then I was able to apply like my new mindset into my creative work. And it was a very kind of like cathartic experience where now it's like I've realized how like this is my favorite thing. Like this is my why. Being behind the camera and editing, like I love that more than anything. And it's all I want to do. And I've learned that. All that to say,
it took a break.
It took a whole damn
for you
year
to realize your why.
Yeah.
So that's a great lesson. Some people, if you're struggling with that, if you've made it through this episode and you're not halfway through reading Simon Sinek's book that I recommended, if you were struggling with your why, I mean, sometimes it takes completely getting away from what you think is your role. I mean, for me, go to similar story, sort of. I left a role in social media marketing for a museum, climbed the ladder, was very successful, and took almost a 6-month sabbatical from working in general for me to then take that time off because I was so burnt out from that role. I was like, ugh. And then once I took time for myself and I looked inward, and I really cared about my mental, physical, and emotional well-being, had the idea to start Renaissance Marketing Group.
Yeah. You really have to take that time for yourself, but you'll almost have to hit like rock bottom in a way.
Yeah.
To get there.
Yeah.
Because like when I say that I like completely took a year off of video work, like I was probably still editing stuff if I had to, or like doing whatever I had to do. And it wasn't really up until maybe, I don't even know when. I don't know what the timeline is, but like earlier this year that I had this realization of like, damn, I really went through like this rough period. But that was like the biggest thing for recharging. And now it's kind of like I know the signs of when I'm starting to feel like I need to recharge. And then I just do shit that I love. That's it. Like I genuinely, like I've gotten really good about not being on my phone. Like I throw my phone. And just when I get home, like I just throw it and I'm like, I don't want to, I'm not focusing. I don't care. Whatever.
Take breaks and recharge. I'm telling you, if you are at that point of like, and I know it's easier said than that because you could be saying, well, what do I do if I can't take a break? This is my business. I have to keep going. Well, you do. You do have to keep going. I'm bearer of bad news there.
Yeah.
But when you're off and when there's physically no reason why you should continue working, like Walker said, set those boundaries for yourself. So if it's 9 to 5, if it's 8 to 4, whatever that looks like, that's the beauty of running your own business. You can set your own freaking hours.
Yeah, set it.
And
Screw
so
this hustle culture bullshit. Sorry
screw the hustle culture. Like, don't feel like you have to work 24/7. I only do because I enjoy it. But once I start to feel like I really need a break, I will take a break. Like,
yeah.
on vacation, I'm pretty good about just taking a break. But I do a lot of work before I get there so that I'm set up for success. Like I make sure the team knows. I let the team, I'm going to the beach, let everyone know that time. But anyway, so take time for yourself, you guys. This is your homework assignment listening to this podcast. We love our podcast listeners. We're so grateful for everybody that listens to Walker and I rant and ramble. But I think take some time this weekend, this week, do something you enjoy. And I'm telling you, you will come back into your work. Yeah. You will be that much better at it. You will be more sharp. You will be more creative. You will be more on it. You will be more excited. And I think we have to, if this is the marathon, this is not the sprint. This is the long game that we're in with business. Exactly. And so you have to.
Don't let the little things get to you.
Do things that make you excited to work. Do things that make you excited to come and sit in your office. Do whatever that is. If that's a workout, if that's a walk, if that's time in nature, if that's talking to a friend, if that's, going on a girls' trip for a weekend, whatever can make your soul feel good.
Just chill out.
You have to do. And I'm telling you, that is how you are going to make it in this long game. It is not there's no fast track to this whole life that we're in. And you, especially to be successful, there's no fast track. It's a long game to be successful. I've been in this for freaking almost a decade and I'm nowhere close where I want to be. Not even close. So let that sink in. Like, you just have to
chill.
If you're living your life really, really stressed all the time, there's something
wrong.
You just gotta look inward a little bit. You gotta take a little reset. You gotta take some time off. You really do. Get good at taking time off. Your business will thank you. Okay. On that note, we'll see you guys next time.